And this is the final round, the final set in this Group C Gold, where coming into it all, we kind of expected that Running would be at the top. He is not at the top of this group, but he still has a chance to make the playoffs. If he gets 2 wins, he will be tied with Z40 on wins, but be ahead of him in the tiebreak, and he will be at least in the playoffs to potentially make it back to plat. If LaaaaaN 3-0s him, LaaaaaN saves himself from relegation, and LaaaaaN will actually relegate Running. So Running could be 3rd, 4th, or 5th. LaaaaaN will be 5th or 4th. We'll find out.
Yep, and of course, if Running does make it to the playoffs, he would be knocking Z40 down to that 4th spot where he's still in the group, but isn't in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, we saw in, we saw with Kingston, for example, like coming into today, chances were there that Kingston wouldn't be in playoffs and wouldn't have the dream of making it back to plat, and then he delivered. And then in another group, we had Ganji looking like he could be relegated. And then in the final series, he delivered. So it has seemed like the players who have pretty prestigious careers, who've done really well, are turning it on in the final moments when it matters most.
Yeah, and it could also just be they get more familiar with the maps and then get better practice in for the final set when it becomes a really important set for them.
Yeah, I interviewed Sizcon, and he said coming into the group, he thought that he was going to be 3rd, but then after the first week or so, he saw Running and Kingston's play, and he thought that he could win the group because he trained like 30 sets, and he didn't feel like the other players did. So I think there's definitely something to that, where if they weren't preparing massively because they were expecting to do well, they needed 3 to 4 weeks to finally look really sharp on all the maps.
Yeah, and not just get familiar with the maps, but also kind of familiar with the drafting and knowing what civs to pick for maps.
Yeah, agreed. So I haven't seen a lot of Portuguese on this map. We have seen a lot of Chinese. This is normally a bit of a deer push fest at the start, mainly because you don't really gain a lot from the early scouting here. It's very easy to find your opponent. You'll know exactly where they are once you discover the outposts. So,
and you don't have a boar, so that's the big thing. You need to push the deer to get your food income.
Yeah, that too. Running actually went to berries with Portuguese and some stragglers, so he delayed his lumber camp. He'll be building that soon. And then LaaaaaN is Chinese. I mean, Chinese have had a pretty amazing win rate, so this is a good pick for him to have here, in my opinion, if he needs 3 wins.
I feel like whenever I see the Chinese play in this tournament, when you're in that feudal to castle transition period, they're already about 1,000 res collected ahead of their opponents. I really like having that res collected stat whenever you're watching the Chinese, because it just shows how much of a difference those 3 vills make.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we're covering these as Rex, so Running wouldn't have known at this time, potentially, what happened in the other sets. So, like, if you're coming in here and you're feeling like, I need a 3-0 to get first, I'm not sure, to get playoffs. I'm not sure I would allow Chinese through the draft, but there are only 2 bans. So, Portuguese are still really good. But like you said, if you don't do damage to the Chinese, you're probably not as in good a position.
Yeah, and it's hard to deny a civ when there's only 2 bans, right? Because you might want to ban Georgians because they've been OP, or you might want to ban Chinese, and it's hard to get everything banned that you want.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm being told players didn't know the result of the other sets. Yeah, so they had no clue. So Running would have come in here feeling like he needs a 3-0. LaaaaaN, regardless of what happens, it all comes down to how he performs today.
Ooh, I see Running heading over to Stone right now. So this might be an organ gun play. Now, I've seen Bengalis on this map from Stone Please a couple of times go for that Ratha play.
Yeah.
I haven't seen organ guns yet.
Wow.
Presumably you could do something similar. I don't think, like, you're really far apart on this map. I don't think, even though you're kind of in this big ravine, you don't get punished for the fast castle all that easily.
Well,
so
and
this could be a castle to organ guns.
This is actually one of the things that Chinese struggle against the most, because what they can't do very well is fast castle. If they can get enough food to go for this streamlined feudal age, get the eco upgrades, play feudal age army, and then that type of game suits them well. But because they start with 0 food in the bank, they can't also get the food to FC. And also on this map, when people aren't scouting because they're pushing in their deer, it could be a really solid move here from Running to attempt this. And this is kind of arena style, which is what Running's known for.
Yeah, and he's up on 23 population, which these days is a really slow feudal age, but still is kind of that mark where you're kind of questioning, are they actually going for that fast castle, or is this just some type of slow feudal play, right?
Yeah.
It could just be like maybe you really need to scout and check, hey, there's no barracks, there's no men-at-arms coming forward at this timing.
That's
And
just,
we have the scout from land forward right now, and you'll probably see that stone if he loops around.
I'm laughing because LaaaN is this old style player. And so LaaaN is the type of player where I would fully expect him to be annoyed with this crap, right? Like, this is new meta. This is the Phosphorus style that started off in ranked games with just Phosphorus, and we've seen multiple players try it. And now he's like, I don't know his experience level with it. I've seen him play one ranked game against it before. It's like deep in my memory bank. But he's looking at this now, and he's probably like, are you freaking kidding me? I need 3 wins, and we got a guy on stone. And now here comes the Vils.
5 Vils forward. But I feel like it's too late to send Vils forward against this. I mean, you can tower rush, but then there are 2 stones you need to control.
Well, the thing that could be problematic for running is he needs to defend his wood line, and there he might need a counter tower. And basically, if you force running in this position to spend a lot of stone defensively, then his eco is eventually way worse than yours, and he might screw it up. So this is, yes, running's the better player than Phosphorus, but he hasn't played 1,001 games with this strat, right? So he doesn't know all the deviations and adaptations. So there's the defensive tower from running as LaaaN arrives forward.
Yeah, and LaaaN also going for some scouts behind this and sending a spear forward.
Yeah, which is all good.
Ooh, that's actually a really nice house wall there from running, because LaaaN, if he wants to position a tower, now needs to go all the way around, like, to the backside of that wood line.
I would want that tower to be in range of running's tower, and then you're garrisoning your Vils, and you're attacking with the scouts beneath it. I think that might be one tile too close. Yeah, I think that's a good tower. And he is on stone, could maybe tower the wood line as well. Running is up, but running will need to build a castle, and he will need wood, and he will need gold. And so a lot of times you'll castle to clear up a tower, but a castle here wouldn't actually give him access to gold right away.
Yeah, and then the question for running now is, does he counter tower to stop that tower on his wood line? Because if he did, it's only 1 Vil. He could get his tower up faster and stop it.
Yeah.
And that Vil actually only has 4 HP.
Running needs victories. He needs 2 victories to go playoffs. 1 victory to stay alive. The tower's
wait,
up.
here comes a scout from running. That Vil isn't walled. LaaaN didn't wall the Vil.
Oh, and it goes down. Nice find. That's good patience, too. He could have done that a long time ago, but LaaaN kind of forgot about that possibility. But only 3 scouts for LaaaN. So he's brought the pressure. Running gets enough stone for a castle, so he doesn't actually need the stone anymore. The Vil will come complete the other tower. But LaaaN has not been able to kill anything. Running still has food income underneath the TC to produce Vils as well. So this will be a 1430 fast castle on Ravines.
And he has to run. And looking at how he built the market, actually, now that I look at this map, I think it's a mistake. He should have built the market like 2 tiles away and walled the back.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
He would have been safe from that tower the way he walled.
You could also argue that the better castle spot for him would be in the back, so he could control wood and control gold. That's typically what Phosphorus would do. But the other thing to remember here is 2 organ guns kill everything in feudal age. So
yeah.
You're going to get access to your wood again, most likely. And that castle's going up, man. LaaaN has not been able to stop it. He didn't go all in. He didn't send more than just 3 scouts, and now he's in feudal. He's got more res collected, but he'll be up against organ guns.
Yeah. And I feel like putting the castle on the back, if you're going for Rathas, that's fine. But here, the organ guns are just a bit slower. So you might just want to have that forward castle to get them across the map a bit faster.
Yeah, let's see how running chooses to play this, because he should know with the outpost that there will be action coming this way. LaaaN is being active enough with his scouts. You like to see that. And he sees the organ gun. And unfortunately, organ guns are just going to push away 3 scouts there. You're just not able to engage.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Even with 5 Vils forward, LaaaN 1k resources ahead at this point.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if the organ guns kill everything, but his eco is so much farther ahead.
Well, he's going to have to spend it because against organ guns, he needs a lot of scouts. So if you're running, you're expecting one of two things. The first thing you're expecting is a fast castle from your opponent, so they basically make no army and go up. The second thing they can do is full army in Feudal Age, either extreme. So it seems like it's going to be full feudal from land, keep the eco alive. He's dropping towers everywhere. And I don't know if running really has an indication of that yet. He'll see the towers, but he doesn't know this is the amount of scouts that land's committing to.
Yeah, if he keeps scouting, he does see the vills on stone, and he sees the towers, and he might see the stone wall.
I like the towers a lot. I really do.
I think they're necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have a lot of scouts, you still don't want to fight a big group of organ guns in the feudal age. Scouts are your best option, but they're still not great.
Also, I love how running has pre-walled that wood line too, just in case, because there's more scouts here now, and land can't find damage. So, honestly, really well played from both of them. Running, well executed, but land well executed to defend. He did not kill the villager, though, with the scouts. It's just so tough. When your base is structured like this, it is so tough to find any damage for the player in Feudal Age.
Yeah. Especially when you're only on scouts right now, because you don't have the archers to shoot over the walls. And, like, only scouts is pretty much his only option at this point with the organs out, too. Archers would just die to the organs.
Now, can running go underneath these towers? If he gets through there, it could be strong. These are just Feudal Age towers, but they're still doing some damage. He's going to go through. Yeah, these are going to wreck the vills if they're alive, and the organ guns, they just don't seem to die. And the villagers absolutely will. That's a good move from running. He's got the weaker economy, and he knows it. But honestly, T-West, he's had a minute of TC idle time, so he's booming as well. This isn't just like no eco. Running is also in a great spot economically.
Yeah, he's only down by 3 villagers. And he'll close that up with some vill kills.
It's also so tough to micro against the organs because of their projectiles going different directions. So they're pretty much, because of the multi-projectiles, they're pretty much going to hit every single scout in the group. LaaaaaN is abandoning the back of his base for the most part. He's going to move. He tried to move to the stone and gold in the front, but now running's here with more organs.
And more organs will find those vills. And only 5 scouts. So, like, LaaaaaN kind of got stuck in between. He didn't get enough scouts to fight the organs.
This is such a busted unit, dude.
Dead.
It's such a busted strat, and it's such a busted unit. But running needs the wins, and running does it. That was so smooth. 15 kills, 1 death, 1430 fast castle on ravines. And LaaaaaN is officially relegated with that. Now, that doesn't mean that running is in the playoffs yet. He still needs another win. But there's no way that LaaaaaN can statistically save himself. Painful.
Painful, and I mean, if you're Chinese against Portuguese here, what do you even do? I feel like the only option is to fast castle against this.
Yeah, but to do that,
involved.
you have to know it's coming, which he won't do because he's going to push the deer instead. Like, it completely punishes the fact that the opponent's not scouting you early. Again, though, the extreme is you either stay in Feudal Age forever or you go fast castle. And he didn't go fast castle, and then he tried to make, 6 scouts and stop? And clearly, the second he clicked up to castle, just everything dies. I think he could have tried full feudal scouts, but honestly, with the way that running macros behind it, it looks very tough to beat. Very, very tough to beat.
Yeah, that it does.
Yeah. So, LaaaaaN, you know, another part of that, actually, that made this tough is the organ guns walking through. What about some walls there? A few more walls, and then the organ guns can't make it to the back.
Yeah, that definitely helps. And if they can't make it to the back, maybe you have an option to go Castle Age and buy time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at that point, he had 6 scouts. I mean, what's he going to do? Add another 10 scouts, and by that time, running has 10 to 15 organs, and he still can't take a fight.
Yeah. We're in game number 2. So LaaaaaN is out. Running needs 1 more win. Am I correct? It's 1 more win to go playoffs or 1 more win to survive?
1 more win, and he is tied with Z40 in points, and he has won his set against Z40, so 1 more win puts him in the playoffs.
Ah, okay. So he's already safe then. He's already safe.
Yep, he's safe. He's safe now, and he's fighting to make it to the playoffs.
Sick. Well, he's Byzantines, which is a civ that's looked so dominant on this map. Another one of those saves similar to Portuguese in the previous game, where if their game plan is played out perfectly, you just think this civ is broken. This civ cannot be stopped. But Lithuanians from LaaaN suits him perfectly. LaaaN is an old style player. He's the type of player who likes to fight in 4 or 5 different spots. So anytime you're up against the Byzantines, you need the aggression. And every time he's played this map, he's brought the aggression.
And I feel like Byzantines maybe have fallen off a bit on this map from where they were in previous seasons, just because I've seen that forward or sneaky dock strat kind of less successful or less often used than it has been in the past. And that's where the Byzantines really succeed, if they can get their fires into the enemy pawns.
Yeah. I think it's just so, like, I guess the way you look at it is Byzantines can be amazing if they dock the opponent's pawn, but there's no guarantee you're going to get there. That could be a villager that dies.
Exactly.
So instead, what people are opting to do is they just play safe, because there's so many positives to the mid game at the Byzantines if you're not behind. So I'd be kind of shocked. Running's not a forward villager type of guy. What LaaaN loves is he loves the fast fishing ships. He loves to go for man-at-arms. Man-at-arms, archer range follow-up, tons of knights and castle age is typically how he plays.
Yep. And also, just to point out, this is version 2 of Cross, where I've balanced the town centers. So some people were complaining that you would have one of the town centers like in the middle of 2 lakes, and another one would be right next to a lake.
Yeah.
And that'd be unfair for the player in the middle because you'd have to walk really far. Now the map should always have fairly balanced TCs to prevent that situation.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good change. I've been really happy with it. I think if one player has the full potential to wall, let's say, wall in one pond, and the other one doesn't, that's really the biggest thing. I'm not really too worried about the golds or the stones, because it's cross and it's going to be tough. But it seems like LaaaN could wall, for example, and then running also has the same opportunity along the front compared to some other gens.
Yeah, it's fairly similar with how the wood lines spawn. Kind of a really big wall off if they want to go for the walls.
Yeah.
But either could do kind of a similar thing, walling in basically a quarter of the map.
So LaaaN's got, what, 4 wins. He's officially relegated. I think that would have happened regardless of the other sets. So when this was played, he should maybe know in the back of his mind that he's out, but still $20 per victory. And this is still like an amazing map for him. I still think we're going to see that barracks, by the way. We'll see. But I watched every one of his cross games, and he's the type of player to open with that, just to be the first one to get the first punch, take the initiative, and that sets up the next play.
And I think running has a pretty good map to defend from men-at-arms if he just kind of walls from that wood line to the TC and then to the gold.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a very small wall that at least keeps the initial men-at-arms out.
Okay, so someone says, can T-West go into detail about how those small changes get made? So can you explain what you did to fix the TC locations, T-West?
TCs? So
explain it like I'm 5.
So there's basically 2 ways you can place TCs. You can, it's called random placement, which is you let the game place the TCs. If you do that, you don't have much control over it. You can either place them like they were in the original game, or you can place them in a circle. But you don't really have control over where on that circle they spawn. And then there's direct placement, which is basically I have to type in a bunch of XY coordinates to place the TCs. So to fix that, I basically come up with a list of a whole bunch of different XY coordinates with fair TCs, and I randomly choose among them.
So it's still random, but it's calculated random, essentially.
Yeah, it's essentially random, but under more control. And then I add a bit of fuzz to the XY coordinates when I place them, so it's not the same spot every time.
Okay, well that makes sense. Because when you said the game places it randomly, I actually got a whole bunch of anxiety. I was like, I hope we're not using that. I don't trust it.
Well, that's what it was. And the thing is, that's the easy way to place it, because it's either 0 or 1 lines of code to do it. What I did is essentially adding several hundred lines of code to the map script to randomize among a whole bunch of different TC locations.
Got it.
So it's not something that is easily supported by AoE 2, but it's something that's possible if you start really hacking at the map script.
Okay, sick. Well, thanks for the info there, and obviously thanks for the work. LaaaN is walling up. So much for man-at-arms and aggression. Maybe he saw the wood lines for himself and kind of figured, I might as well do this. I scouted everything, so he's definitely realizing how good the wall up is. And then it's the same for running. He's walling to the left side. We may see a little bit of paranoia from him on his own shorelines to check to see if there's a sneak dock or something, but there's not going to see anything like that for LaaaN. If anything, we might see a Vil head over to the east or west to dock, but that's it. And running is going to
we got some sheep being stolen here from running.
Yeah.
He's going to kill them.
Oh, man. I mean, he kills one. He actually didn't kill that other one. And he also lost scout HP. I actually don't think that's good trade for running. If he loses his scout here, when he's not going scouts, that could be pretty brutal. So I like the idea to get an edge, but that's good for LaaaN.
Yeah, and the idea is that when you're on cross, you have the fishing ships, so you don't have as many Vils directly underneath your TC, so it's easier to sneak the scout in there and steal the sheep. But here, as you said, I think it kind of backfired on him.
Yeah. Yep, scout's going to go down. I mean, he came into this knowing he needed potentially 3 wins, right? Like if Z40 snagged 1 win in that previous round, he would need 3. We now know he needs 2, but he would have been going for the 3-0. Skirms and spears can be so difficult to deal with if you're against Byzantines, especially when the maps are this close. So I actually think the walls for LaaaN are huge here. To not have that roaming around the rest of your base, very nice for him.
Yeah, and it's going to be painful to lose the berries to the skirms, but at least you have the fish, and it's not as bad as it would be on some other maps.
Yep.
Also, it's kind of key that running is the, he's going skirm and spear, but he lost the scout. It's not like he was going scouts and could add in an extra scout for more information.
Yep.
Now LaaaN can just kind of run around the back of his base and figure out everything that running is going to be transitioning to.
Yeah, also a villager sneaking away from LaaaN on the right-hand side. This is what you want to see on cross. Scouts as well active around running's TC. Now, it's only 2 scouts. I wouldn't expect that to accomplish much. But if he can get that other scout to the left and see that running's over there, we could see LaaaN somehow sneakily contesting a couple pawns here.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be tricky for running to do now, to scout the other pond. And instead of moving a scout over, he's just going to take a spear and run it over to the right side and try to find if there's a dock there.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, spears have better vision than you think of. I really only notice how good the spear vision is when I'm casting, right? So
right.
He's going to head over there, and LaaaN scouts will escape before the full walls come up, but running is also sending a Vil right there. So I actually think LaaaN was trying to sneak a dock in the north, thinking that was still open, and he's just thought twice about that idea, which is why the Vil's coming home. But will he spot the dock from running? Running's going to walk right past the dock.
He should see this.
It's so tough. Running noticed, so he's hoping he won't be spotted. LaaaN scouts are still active in the north. And now the spearman's attacking the Vil as well. So LaaaN should look there now, but I'm not sure LaaaN actually knows what's happening there yet. Yeah, he just sees the spear.
He's going to try to wall the Vil in.
It's funny.
He's doing another fishing ship, so he doesn't notice it.
Yeah, he has no clue. He doesn't want to lose his Vil. LaaaN, former top 10 player, but quick walls weren't as common, and there he goes. But the trash units are coming this way from running. That Vil could still die, and he is making a fishing ship here. So if running immediately makes fires, this is extremely good for him.
Yeah, and again, those are Byzantine fires. One of the reasons we talked about why they're so good, their fire ships just win against other fire ships in feudal.
Yeah. It definitely win against fishing ships. If LaaaN doesn't notice that dock is there right now, that would be painful. Yeah, he has no clue. So running, look at the left side, TUS. Look at the way he positioned his houses. He's got full vision on the shoreline, which I think is awesome. He'll be able to contest the fish on the right side and probably win that with 2 docks, which is great. And then he's walled with Byzantines. That's exactly what you would want here.
Yeah, and also his uptiming is competitive with the Lithuanians, who usually have that eco edge early on with the earlier dock and fish. So he's in a pretty decent spot as far as where you want to be with the Byzantines on this map.
Yeah, the scouts just didn't really find the value that LaaaN was looking for, did he? He was unable to stop a Vil from coming to the left. He was unable to get through and kill much with his scouts into the main base. It looks like it might be cab archers from him. And he will play a lot of Arabia these days. So that's what's going to give him the understanding on the meta. I don't think he does a lot of practice for tournaments. It's just ranked ladder, and we're seeing a lot of cav archers on ranked ladder right now. But
we are.
Yeah.
It feels like every save is a cav archer save these days, but Byzantines with good skirms and cheap camels have 2 options for countering them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no other option you can really consider and feel great about if you're up against Byzantines. So I like it for the mobility, and I like the fact that he's able to hide this fact, so Running doesn't know. Running only has 3 skirms, so Running may be surprised by this. We'll see.
Surprised by cav archers, though? I mean, it's 2025. I don't think you're ever surprised by cav archers.
Well, I mean, when you already have a stable with Byzantines, you're going to be feeling pretty good. 18 fishing ships against 7 fishing ships. That's a crazy amount of fishing ships for Running. He might overfish the north. There's only 3 fish left up there, but could always fish trap as well, so...
Yeah, and as you were saying, Running, or LaaaaaN not getting the value out of those scouts, he's finally going to maybe pick a skirmisher with them, but... He didn't stop the vill in the docks on the right-hand side either. He didn't scout that or find a way to keep that pond safe.
So, stone walls now from Running. Wow, so I think this is 1 TC fast imp. If he's used all of his stone... Wow, he's even stonewalling the right side. Yeah, he's definitely going to go, like, fish traps instead of TCs.
Monster.
And he's going to click up the imp here. Might need a market for that, though. He doesn't really have the gold just yet. And
it is cheap for the Byzantines. He has the market, and he's just going to need another building.
I like it because it's cheap for the Byzantines. I do wonder if this gives LaaaaaN an opportunity to really cook here, though. Right? LaaaAN's going to have 3 TCs, great farm count, good eco setup himself. Cav archers will be around the map. There's not many camels. There's not many skirms. This is the type of game that LaaaaaN is now comfortable with, and he's going to have a lot of time.
Yeah, and you're also giving the Lithuanian player time to pick up the relics now. Since you're spending all that food and gold on Imp, you're not adding army to contest them. And that should be an easy 3 relics for LaaaaaN.
This is nervous stuff right now. To have committed this much to Stonewalls and have that one area blocked off is not ideal. But he'll drop a market just to block the area off. Still hasn't clicked up. He already has a market, so that's just to wall it.
Yeah.
And
where's the university or the workshop? He needs a second building.
Yeah, this is kind of looking dicey. You also need a ton of wood to drop fish trap soon. He only has like 200, 300 food in the north. Those fishing ships will be idle. He honestly should have quick walled with the university instead of the market. Then he could have completed it, maybe.
Maybe, but cav archers have enough range to stop that.
True. Yeah, that's probably part of it.
That would definitely jeopardize his imp timing.
I mean, he could have gone fast imp.
He
might as well not be Byzantines. He could have been imp with normal resources. All right. Well, what's your comp then? You think with imp? I guess he answers the question. He's gonna go elite skirmisher.
I mean, is fast imp for elite skirm really the strategy you want to be playing?
Well, if he can go to stone, if he can go skirm for map control and then a forward castle, I think life gets really difficult for LaaaaaN.
It does, but LaaaAN's going to have such a bigger eco by the time that happens, right? Like, we're on 1-2 range elite skirm production against a Lithuanian player who now has 1 relic in, is bringing in a second, and could probably just start adding some really strong Castle Age Knights to fight the skirms.
I'd love to see a Mangano. Like, your opponent is fully walled. Your opponent has shown you a range with a flag on it. They're giving you full map control. I get he's booming. He's looking for the relics. He'll kill the vill on the left. But, man, a siege workshop in the middle right now to apply some pressure just feels so important for LaaaaaN.
Yeah, and remember, the skirm's going to need upgrades, and yeah, Running has a lot of fishing ships, but you're only on 60 eco units total. Only 40 villagers. It's going to be expensive to afford all that.
It's kind of tough for LaaaaaN, right? He hasn't seen a lot of army. He thinks his opponent's booming. He feels pretty comfortable. Now he sees skirms and he sees spears. And I was just going to mention that the more natural approach for a player like LaaaaaN is to go, especially when you're getting relics, is just to go all-in knights to clear this. So we could have full knight, full cav archer against Imperial Age spears and skirms here.
Could, and right now, this probably isn't a good fight for LaaaN. Those knights are going to get converted. And the Cav Archers are dying to the skirms.
Yep, Ballistics is in. Look at all those Cav Archers go down. There's no real bonuses for the Lithuanians. 20 eco lead for LaaaN. And there's the Siege Workshop actually from running. He isn't on stone, though, so he won't have a castle coming up. He's still 1 TC. No fish traps in the north. I mean, he's really running out of food up there. So that could hit at a time where he's busy microing. And then his food eco could start to fall apart with no farms.
Yeah, and now chemistry on the way, so that workshop can lead to bombard cannons. But nice job from LaaaN looping back around with the Cav Archers right to the middle of the map, and he's going to stop the forward workshop for now.
Look at the vision for running with Byzantines. That feels like Imp is worth it just for that vision. It's crazy strong. And TC. Wow. Okay, so bombard cannon skirm is the main play. Running's maybe thinking that LaaaN is just going to go Imp now, because most people would be Imp. But LaaaN's got 2 relics with Lithuanians. He's going for full armor, and he's going to go full army against this.
Yeah, I think he just needs to start doing the attack upgrades too. Try to find a way to sneak in that 3rd relic on the side. And there's no way running affords Halb at this point. He could maybe do pikemen.
Yep.
But it's going to be monks are his main way to counter the knights here.
3 conversions is pretty good, but I don't know if it's enough to save all the skirms. Running gets surprised by this. His spears will go down. His skirms will get pushed back. Now, he is going to go crossbowman. So crossbowman with imp upgrades could still be good eventually, but all the skirms are going to go down, and LaaaN is going to castle drop his opponent. He's going to castle drop the guy who's an imp. This is crazy, but he's got a 30 eco lead, T-West. So as long as he can keep it up.
Bombard cannon. There's a bombard cannon in the workshop. Could that one-shot the castle foundation?
It easily could, but then you lose the bombard cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, but you kill a castle.
I mean, this is now the point where you want to be chilling and spending 1,000 wood on fish traps, by the way. This is the point of the game we were talking about. He's got, like, no easy food eco. There's also a scout on the left side killing fishing ships somehow. So this is a real problem for running right now. LaaaN needs to take the siege workshop. There's nothing there to defend that. Take the siege workshop and kill what's inside of there.
He's not in with the castle there. He probably can. And LaaaN's up to imp himself now.
Wow. So it's 100 vils for LaaaN. It's 52 for running. And running's imp timing did do a little bit, but it really hasn't done enough for just yet. He is going to get Arbalest. There is this 2-minute window now where Arb should be able to shred the knights. And honestly, if he can save these bombard cannons with Arbs, he's still got a chance. That's crazy that he's able to save those.
That is. And it's now LaaaN really can't engage against Arbs with the knights until he gets that final armor upgrade in imp.
Yeah, which takes...
This castle might buy him enough time to do it.
Which takes a really long time. He is going to go for his own skirms. They're not cheaper, but they are a really good, solid play here.
Yeah, they move faster, so they're pretty good now. If you're fighting Arbs with your skirms and not just Byzantine skirms, you're pretty happy.
I think I mean, it's so close, but I think running's position can be really solid because in LaaaN's position, you feel forced to take engagements before those upgrades can come in. And if you have to engage against a high number of Arbs, let's say 30 Arbs with Castle Age units, it's normally not a very good fight for you. So we'll see, though. I mean, the combo of knights with +3 attack and then also this many skirms could be enough.
Yeah, and he's going to try to do probably just Cavalier and Armor once he gets up. And if he gets those upgrades in, I don't think he needs to go for Paladin against this few Arbs. Every Arb he picks off with just skirms is great for him.
Yeah, running Siege Workshop is giving him vision all around this as well. There will be no surprises. And
Byzantine's vision.
He's being patient. It's a good move to be patient here, but once his opponent's an imp, he might not want to be as patient anymore.
Yeah, there's Cavalier, there's Bracer, there's Chemistry, and now he just needs Armor, and those upgrades will come in the next 2 minutes or so.
Castle.
And then he'll want to engage.
Repairing this castle has been so helpful. He'll lose it now, and he might lose a lot of the vills, but that has given him so much.
It's just about buying time for the upgrades now.
Yeah.
His eco is larger, he needs time for them to come in.
He won't have armor on the cav, though, so the cav will still melt. And The
light cav.
final armor won't be in on the skirms either, but they're so fast, and there are a lot of them. And it seems like running has just not been able to find the timing he wanted with this fast imp.
That light cav upgrade is kind of interesting to me that he queued that instead of doing the armor. He doesn't have any light cav out right now.
Yeah, who knows?
Deal to get the armor, but just kind of small differences in the timing.
A lot of pressure, probably just clicking whatever you can think of right now. Interesting, no stone, so he can't get conscription. He also won't be able to get the additional armor with the unique tech for the Lithuanians. And that is a death ball and a half there from running that he's building up right now. That's a lot of cannons. And quite a few arbalest. And still no final armor for the skirms or for the cavalier.
Yeah, they're both on the way. Some of those cannons are weak now.
I like this from LaaaaaN, though. He seems happy to take the engagement because he knows he has the superior eco. And now armor's in. And now he'll commit. And when running needs two wins,
will go down.
He's going to call the GG. Yes, we get the drama. This is what I wanted.
We do.
Oh, man.
He's not out of the playoffs yet. He's still in the running.
Yeah.
But we get a final game that matters.
Oh, man. Somebody call.
What was that strategy choice? The fast imp when you had all that food?
I think if he would have stonewalled earlier, he would have felt so much better about that. But he's clearly going to lose all of his army here to the Cav and the skirms. He won't be able to actually take gold pretty soon. His eco is abysmal. But we've seen so many games where the Byzantines just boom and drop TCs. And they're kind of fine. But he wasn't able to do enough damage in imp. Credit to LaaaaaN for that forward castle, though. That forward castle bought him so much time. And he used the time well, snagged the upgrades, had a lot of eco balancing to do because he didn't have the fish. So, GG.
Yeah, and an absolutely great job for him just to get the relics on the way up, too. He had two and brought the third closer, and that's exactly what he needed for his nightline there. Is that, like, the relics kind of save you resources, because if you look at his text, he didn't do even forging, so he didn't spend any food or gold on those blacksmith upgrades, but still had the attack advantage.
Yeah. I think part of the issue here for running all came down... The strategy I don't hate, but he didn't have the walls on the right. And him not having the walls on the right essentially delayed his imp by 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. So I think if he has everything that we saw in this game a little bit faster, maybe he ends up getting the job done. But what this means, LaaaaaN is relegated. We know that. But running is either alive in gold next season, and that's it, or he could potentially go to playoffs and make it to platinum for the next season, where he's been before. So he has to win this final game to determine that. If running wins the final game, Z40 is not in playoffs, which it kind of looked like was going to be the case all season long. Final game of the group, and this determines who we see in the playoffs. We've got LaaaaaN, who played very well the previous game. He's, as the Bengalis, he's relegated, just fighting for a bit of pride and $20 per victory. And then we have the Burgundians for running. And T-West, when you think about running, this is the type of map you know him for, right? So this should be good.
Exactly. You think about him on these clown maps, and Burgundians the Civ with an insane eco with those upgrades you can get for a discount in an age early. We've seen them so many times on this map, and we've even seen this matchup Burgundians Bengalis before. You may be worried if the Bengalis get to a fully upgraded mass of a large number of those elephant archers, but it's probably a bit smoother to play Burgundians with gunpowder.
Yeah. I think that smooth approach is probably the best play here. The other thing that's nice for running, obviously running knows these maps very well, but he should know that when LaaaaaN plays this style, he's not going to go all in. Like, LaaaaaN is not an early castle guy. LaaaaaN is not a multi-monastery monk guy. Like, LaaaaaN is an Arabia player who's going to opt to go for stable opening and scouts for map control. So you could maybe do something crazy. You could maybe go spear siege against LaaaaaN and maybe get away with it. But if you like your Civ matchup, if you like your chances with the adaptation and the booming, obviously you know what you're up against and you know what you're in for. So would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, Burgundians do have a really nice Castle Age monk push because, one, they have a great tech tree for their monastery. I think they have everything aside from heresy in the Castle Age. Mm-hmm. And then they can do the gold upgrades nice and early and have an insane eco if they wanted to push with monks.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to what we said about the Byzantines the previous game and sneaking docks. Byzantines are great at sneaking docks, but we don't see people do it because them holding on till late game normally makes them better than everyone. Similar thing here with Burgundians. Like, you could actually go against the grain and could actually go crazy aggression, but usually it's all in response to your opponent.
Yeah. I remember watching the days where Eddie would pick Turks and he'd still go Monk Rush instead of Janissaries.
Well, it's so funny. The bonuses were just so different back then. Like, there were so few civs, and the bonuses weren't as crazy. So it was like crazy to go monks with Turks because you mined gold faster than everyone, right?
Right.
And then like years later, now we've got monks with armor. Now we've got civilizations with faster monks. Now we've got civilizations where monk techs apply to vills. We have like Bohemians that get gold upgrades for free, like both of them. Like, civs are just, there's been a bit of power creep. But yeah, I remember Eddie, it was like, if Eddie went over 3 farms in a game, you were mind blown. It was just 2 farms, monks, market, and everything on gold.
I remember there was one game, I think he was like 1 TC against Stark, who had made like 12 TCs.
That is funny because they're such different players, yeah.
Yeah.
This Vil for land could die if he's not careful. I'm sure he's fine, but I just got a little nervous, and yeah, he's okay.
A walling far away? Well, he's scouting with the sheep. He sees where the wolf is, so he knows the Vil's okay.
Yeah. I was actually talking about the Boarville, but yeah, that villager's pretty far too.
Oh, okay.
Certain players, I almost named names, but that would be rude. Certain players have struggled bringing in boars over the past 12 months, and now I actually do not trust pros with their boars all of a sudden. That is somehow translated into me getting anxious when I watch people. So sometimes I just can't help myself but stare intently at the boars.
Oh, I'm nervous every time I lure a boar that the TC UI isn't going to appear, and I'm going to accidentally kill it with the Garrison de Villes.
I've actually never experienced that bug, but I've seen other people experience it. Yeah, I've seen other people experience it, but I've never had that happen to me.
Yeah, I think they've made it less common than it used to be, but it still happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And it just kind of shocks you for a minute because you're pressing your hotkey and you expect it to work, and then your boar dies.
Yeah, so basically, guys, sometimes the options for your TC just don't appear. So if you're trying to press like ungarrison for your vills, it just options aren't there. They're just gone. And then your vills stay in the CT, and then the board dies. So
someone was asking in the chat, hey, would you prefer to lose a boar or a villager in the Dark Age? I think losing the vill is less bad than losing the boar.
Wow, can I say it depends? Like, what map are we talking about?
That's true. Well, what map would you rather lose a villager then?
Arena style, because you're going to add more vills anyways, and you can't immediately be pressured. But on a super open aggressive map, I think losing the boar you can recover maybe with a bit of deer pushing, and like a farm or so maybe. So yeah, I think that's how I see it. You would think that you wouldn't want to lose the Vil on the aggressive maps, but I actually think the Vil, to compensate for losing a Vil on a closed map, you just add one more Vil when what you would have done, and it probably brings the resources back eventually. I don't know. It sucks in both, so I just, hopefully it doesn't happen in general.
Yeah. So both players going for a bit of walls on the sides there. And we'll have a few farms for each of them as they click up. Dark Age eco upgrades, of course, for running. And they're up at exactly the same time. Mm-hmm. Usually you might expect maybe Burgundians up slightly slower because they're spending on their resource upgrades. But here, LaaaaaN going up kind of slow from what I've seen from Bengalis.
I actually really like it if you're going to go scout build. He hasn't built his barracks yet, though. But the reason I like the additional Vil is because of that's a lot of distance to walk to build the walls and the villager building time. So I think to compensate for that, he's added a little bit of extra eco.
Yeah. I was going to say, this would usually be what you do if you're going scouts, but as you said, he didn't do the barracks for the scouts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from LaaaAAN's perspective, he already knows this isn't the map he enjoys much. He is already relegated. And you get the additional vills. So, he might just be thinking, I guess I gotta still play this game, even though I'm dead. Let's just boom. Boom and adapt. That's fine.
I'll market blacksmith from him, and he'll be up right away. And it'll be stable blacksmith actually from running, not stable market. Usually you see stable market these days, so you can still balance out your eco here. And you're usually not doing the blacksmith upgrades anyway, you're just doing husbandry and light cav. Yeah,
the fact he's also gone 6 on gold without a market is pretty wild to me, because that is not common here at all. You would maybe want to use that gold in some way. And if you can't buy food, that makes me think he will go for lots of monks, actually. But that doesn't really suit the rest of the build.
He might try to get map control with the scouts and then do some forward monasteries.
Maybe he goes double monastery to get the relics right away. Like, maybe we see scouts double monastery siege too. This could be, if you know what LaaaAAN is doing and LaaaAN is going full boom, lots of monks and lots of aggression is actually not a bad play.
Yeah, and there are 9 relics total on this map. The 5 successfully spawned in the middle this time. No problems there. And Burgundians do get that food trickle as well as the gold with the relics, so extra important for them to secure them.
T-West, right of LaaaAAN's walls, towards the middle, I'm seeing a grass tile again.
It's in the woods, though. That's fine.
Oh, that's actually acceptable? And the other one wasn't last week?
Yeah, the other one was connected to the middle.
Oh, so that one tree makes it okay. Interesting. Okay. Did you already scan for the other grass tiles?
I did. That's the only one.
That's funny. I just remembered. Yeah. I mean, did we implement a fix for the grass tiles, or are you just nervous about it?
I'm just nervous about it.
Okay. I love that.
They're not going to affect anything on this map. It was just stranded where stuff like that actually affected, because golds could spawn on them.
Okay.
Your stuff is far enough away from the forest, it won't affect anything.
I love how much it bothers you. That makes me so happy. Because, like, typically, like, if I'm casting with, like, Dave or Member someone, and I point out this tiny little, like, thing about a map or a strategy, they're just like, whatever, But, like, the fact that you clearly have an emotional attachment to that one tiny little detail on a map is just, it's so good.
Actually, if you look at this one, and now that I'm selecting it, that would be the perfect spot for a lumber camp that you couldn't access. Like, it'd be fully surrounded by trees on all sides. It's a perfect 2x2.
That's true. That's a nice little... Right outside of that, there's destruction, and there's corpses, and there's war, but that's the safest spot on the map, right there. That's good.
Yeah, if you had a king, that's where he'd be hiding.
Yep. Well, hopefully it's not John Slow, because John Slow seemingly can't protect his kings. No additional units on the field for LaaaAAN. No monks, no scouts, just boom. 3 TCs. And running is got double monastery. So if he just keeps track of that one scout, he should be able to get all of these relics over time. But he is down 10 vills because of this investment as well.
Yeah, and maybe a bit weird to go double monastery at the back of your base here and not have a forward monastery for getting the monks to the relics faster.
Oh, he gets the conversion, and that was pretty clutch. Now, Sanctity came in right before then, so Running thought about that, and he knew that with the far conversion and Sanctity against the scout, he should be fine. If that was a light cav, he probably loses the monk, but Running, he takes those, dude. He knows all about this map.
Yeah, he's comfortable doing that. He was confident that he'd get the monk luck on his side.
So,
and should be 9 relics for him now.
So what's LaaaAAN's plan here? I mean, 3 TCs is sick, but the longer this game goes, the more you're going to have a problem. You've got no map control and no relics.
Feels like his plan is just boom and try to get one good push in early imp to end the game.
Yeah.
But that can also be tricky when you don't have bombard cannons.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a big reason why you rarely see people not fight for map control these days is not because it's tough with a big boom to kill an early imp. It's not actually that. It's because people will adjust on the fly if they see you don't have map control. And here it is from Running. So he's like, I wouldn't normally do this, but because I know you have better eco in there, I want you to work harder to take the middle of the map. He's not going to win the game with this push at all, but this just gives him additional time to catch up economically and to get the relics. So I like the move from running. I also like the response from LaaaN to seemingly be fighting for some type of control because he's finally building the barracks.
Yeah, he's adding the barracks, and he doesn't see the workshop, but maybe he just has an idea that running is going to be going for this, and he's going to start adding in his own double barracks.
Yeah.
Military buildings.
Well, if you know your opponent has pikes, it makes sense, or sorry, has light cav, it makes sense to go pikes. And this could be, with villagers headed to stone, pikemen for map control and forward castle. But no clue that the siege is out there. And I'm wondering how patient running is, because he's already on 2 mangonels. You wait for 3, you're in there pretty quick, and LaaaN's not going to have as good a response for it.
And pikemen, if the attack rounds come in, usually are not that great against mangonels.
Yep.
And running could always add in a scorpion or 2 as well.
Yeah, running also gets food from the relics. He's got 5 of them. He's got control of all of those relics. He's going to have 9 relics, which I think will be the 3rd or 4th time we've actually seen that this season, which is wild. I thought we'd see that 0 times. Like, normally if there's 9 relics, you'd expect someone to get at least 1 of them.
Yeah, and we hope that relic victory is not turned on.
Oh man, this is crazy.
I've seen the chat. I've seen the chat in German, so who knows? Maybe running just sneakily turning on that standard victory, hoping he gets 9 relics on the clown map.
Look at running though. I mean, he waited till he has 3 mangonels. That's so crazy. You wait for 1, it gives LaaaN time to think about redemption, LaaaN time to think about his own siege, and now that wall's going to be down. 17 villager lead for LaaaN, and siege workshop, triple barracks, pike siege seems to be the answer.
Yeah, and now LaaaN just now doing that workshop, as you said, he's not having the timing on his own defensive siege to get the matching number of mangonels if he wants to micro here. That's now 4 mangonels out.
Can you pause for a moment? Or are we... Hold on.
I can.
Did you pause?
I'm at 24 minutes exactly.
Okay. Are we good, guys? I don't know. I didn't drop any frames. I don't know if Twitch is being weird. I think maybe Twitch is having an issue. It's not on my end, at least. Okay, I think everything's fine. You said you're at 24 mins?
Yep, 24 exactly.
Okay, we'll just pick back up. I just had a false alarm here. 3, 2, 1, go. Running is walking into a pretty tight choke point here. Like this, I've lost in these situations many times when your mangonels clump up like this. So that's kind of a scary spot.
Imagine if LaaaN had 1 mangonel just at that moment as the mangonels were passing through the wall.
I mean, LaaaN's going to have a lot of pikes. This is going to be like 30 pikes.
16 pikes.
Yeah. That's a lot of pikemen to convert.
That's a lot of monks, though.
True. And that means a lot of healing. And, oh, that's a lot of siege. Oh, but all the siege goes down for running. Oh my goodness.
In 1 shot. That's what I was expecting when they went through the walls. That was a shot out in the open. That was beautiful.
I mean, it's kind of tricky because pikes don't do really any damage against the monks. So the conversions and the healing for running is still holding this position. LaaaN still has a 20 vil lead, though. He is going to drop a castle because he isn't exactly killing this just yet. And maybe he'll go imp, but I guess you're still kind of happy if you're running because you have the relics and because you forced your opponent's castle to be here instead of in the middle of the map with lots of map control.
And he is kind of fighting this back. He's up to imp.
And then big shot there from LaaaN. And okay, so both are imping. Redemption is in for running. But imagine if that, instead of pikes, imagine if that was 10 light cav. Like, he wins the entire fight. He kills every monk. He doesn't donate any units,
or
really.
Imagine if that were longswords, even.
It'd be way better, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to look at pikemen, guys, and just remember that the reason they're strong is because of the bonus damage they do. And so as LaaaN deletes his mangonel and more pikemen are going to switch sides, pikes have 4 base attack. So if you're not up against a unit you have counters to, you're just tickling them. And monks are also regenerating there too. So that was well played from running. What did he get? Like He's got 8 pikemen in the group, and he had 10 monks, so he got a conversion on almost every single one. 9 relics in the bank. Archer range is coming up, and if he wins this, he's in the playoffs.
Yeah, and right now LaaaN has no way to get forward and pressure with a faster amp.
And also no easy way to surprise running either. Running is walling the left side. Or he has walled the left side. He's going to wall the right side. I think he lost the Vil, actually, to a wolf there. Yeah. Oh, man. Can you imagine if LaaaN escapes?
MVP wolf.
Imagine LaaaN escapes.
And he's sending Vils out there.
That would be crazy if that wolf actually changed Running's situation here, but... Someone asking about the relic timer. This is on Conquest. Any times that you have seen competitive tournaments have a countdown when someone gets all the relics, that is because they've screwed up the lobby settings. Or, you know, maybe the rare tournament actually has relic victory on, but that's not on for this.
It's usually if they change like from regicide to a random map and they hit yes on the would you like to use the recommended settings button, and that changes it from Conquest to standard.
Yep. Recommended settings will do that to you. Yeah. So
there's also that weird bug where it doesn't show you that the map changes, but it sets the map to coastal. So you might see a couple coastal restarts.
Love that bug. Just had it happen the other day. Double castle from Running. I mean, is this not a little bit risky in some ways? To go forward when you have all 9 relics? I feel like while you can win the game, this could also be how you lose against a better economy.
It could be, but you're still in a Treb war now with 2 forward castles against the Civ that does not have bombard cannons. And you're going to have that production bonus if you do chemistry and then get your own workshop added in, which he has already.
Yeah.
You just add in 1 or 2 cannons, and as soon as he takes out castles, then he can take out Trebs with cannons.
I think he's
in a great spot to push.
I would love to see Running just click Cavalier, at least right now. Not even make them, but just to have that upgrade finished for the time you might want to consider going Paladin, I feel is very underrated because it's so cheap. He has brought the Treb War to LaaaN. LaaaN has a 40 villager lead. And Running and LaaaN are both repairing, but LaaaN doesn't have access to stone anymore. He would have to go forward on the map for this, and Running's the one controlling that.
Yeah, his next stone is outside of his walls. And on the bottom... Oh, it looks like Running actually got more Vils down by that wolf was. And he's going to try to wall in LaaaN. But he hasn't noticed LaaaN now has workshops on the right side.
Yeah.
Or a workshop in the stable going up.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, that wolf... that wolf is pretty significant. that wolf that killed that one unloomed Vil. Both players are probably going to lose their castle here. And as you said, Bengalis can't make bombard cannons. Burgundians can. But still, there's pretty solid potential here for LaaaN to make quite a few skirmishers with these crossbows. Maybe. I mean, maybe he could take the middle. This all comes down to if Running makes enough army in the middle to hold.
And right now, LaaaN doesn't really have any army capable of killing trebuchets. I mean, both players have like 5 to 6 trebs, so they could actually just try to hit trebs with their trebs.
Yeah.
But that's still very risky when there are repair vills.
I was concerned for Running because he didn't make ranged units. I was concerned for Running because his blacksmith upgrades were behind. He's still missing things like ballistics too, but it feels like he has gained a lot of space and time to think and react. His monks will go for conversions there. I'm sure he'll lose monks, but he does get conversions. The castle fire will help. LaaaN has misclicked his trebs. He meant to click the castle, but he clicked behind the castle. He's lucky not to lose trebs, but he's lost his army. And there's just such a big army for Running. There's 60 military. It's just 20 for LaaaN.
Yeah, and you'd expect usually the player with the bigger eco to have the bigger army in this situation, but I think those relics... Look at how much relic gold Running has now, 3.5k.
Yeah, and I think this pressure from Running has made it very difficult for LaaaN to properly produce and spend his resources. It's just happened so fast. He has not had the time to get that 1,700 gold onto the field, and the castle's now down. The Running is fighting to get to the playoffs here. There is a elephant on the right, but there's more walls from Running, so that shouldn't be an issue as he clicks Cavalier now.
Yeah, there's that Cavalier you wanted, and at this point, I think LaaaN is pretty dead.
Yeah.
The cannon's there to kill the trebs. He's lost the castles. Running has 6 trebuchets. Talk about not trickle trebbing. You take out that castle in no time.
LaaaaaN is going to go out of Titans League Gold fighting like a champ. He's just attacking with the Vills. The peasants are rising up. I mean, the skirms for LaaaaaN are in a much higher number here. And the only other thing that running has is hand cannons and monks and trebs. But I guess it's all enough. His trebs are doing the work. And he's adding some cab from behind right now.
Yeah, and right now, since LaaaaaN lost the castles, he has no way to make more trebs. And that means he doesn't really have a way to push that castle with only 2 trebs left.
Yep,
so
and
he's just going to be stuck here.
Yeah, he's walled in too. He can't escape, really. And no stone, 2k gold. He's probably thinking, how do I even spend the gold? If he had time and space, I could give him suggestions. But I don't think he really is going to have the time and space with Paladin on the way for running.
Yeah, and it feels like with Bengalis, if you want to even go for that faster imp push, what unit do you even make along with it? Right, because you don't have a great stable outside of elephants. Your archery range, you want elephant archers, but that's all really expensive.
Yeah, it is really expensive. And he didn't have the time. Yeah, absolutely. This is always the weakest part for the Bengalis is early imp. I wouldn't have expected running to be this aggressive because he's the one with the relics, but maybe he thought the only way I lose is if I give him time. And then he gets that one big snowball. And LaaaAN's Vills are going to fight again. But Paladins are in queue behind it with these stables running. And I think the second that LaaaAN sees even a Cavalier, he might actually tap out of this one.
Well, here come the Paladins. Armor on the way for them.
Yeah, this has got to be it, right? Paladin, full armor, skirms are there, running wins too. The wild thing is he didn't actually know that he could get away with 2 wins. He might have actually been really disappointed about losing the second game when the series completed earlier today or yesterday, whenever they were able to play it. But he will actually get into playoffs. So it was a weak start for him, but he turns it around. Super solid performance. I think considering LaaaAN knew he was out, considering LaaaAN really hasn't had the best season and he doesn't like this map, I think that's probably why he went for the full boom. And running just played it perfectly. The siege push was exactly what he needed to confuse and obliterate LaaaAN.
Yeah, and you usually would expect running to be the favorite player on the closed maps like Fortified Clearing, right?
100%.
I think the series really just came down to that organ gun push on ravines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
A strategy that I'm honestly not sure what to do to stop that other than assume it's coming in fast castle and still find a way somehow to fight organs in the castle age.
You know what's so sick about that win? It's not the fact that he won, but it's the fact that he could use a late pick in the draft against the #1 pick from LaaaAN. That's what you want. If you can find those picks to kill off people's top civs, it's huge. Because LaaaAN expected that to be a victory for him. And it has been a victory like every other time he's played it. So, well played. So let me pull up the good old site here and just do the updated results. But that closes out the group. And we know exactly what will happen now. Sizcon, who's played like an absolute god all season, he gets 13 wins in this group. 13 wins. He's immediately promoted to Platinum. Kingston and Running had a very weak start, but the last 2 rounds were epic for them. They climb into the playoff positions. Kingston will play, Running will play on the weekend to potentially get back to Plat. We could look at who they could face. Poor Z40, who had an amazing season, way better than last time when he was in Gold and he got relegated. He'll be back in Gold next season, but no playoffs for him. And then LaaaAN kicked out of Gold League, and then Target kicked out of Gold League in Group C. So a really, really fun group.